There you go. Welcome to our Tax Savings Tuesday. We are here in Dallas. Again, I'm Chris, business developer and financial planner. Also have a virtual accounting company. Our goal to your business is to increase your cash flow, but not your taxes. Talking about cash flow and increasing it, one way that you have to do is protect your asset. That's why we have a special guest today. For those of you that have questions or inquiries about any questions, feel free to type your questions. We are live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and we will answer it at the end of this presentation. This will only take less than 30 minutes. So without further ado, I would like to introduce a good friend of mine here in Dallas. He's also he graduated as Masters in Business Administration, also licensed on property and casualty insurance with more than 10 years experience. Let's give it up for my good friend, no other than Damian Davis. How are you, Damian?
I'm all right. How are you, Chris?
Good. How was your weekend?
Oh, not bad, not bad. A lot of rest and relaxations. Never long enough. How about yours?
Good. There was just have a lot of birthdays. I went to different birthdays. All right. So let's talk about your background. How can you give us a few background? How did you end up doing the property and casualty and the cyber insurance?
Sure. Yeah, I graduated from undergraduate college, Morehouse College, in 2007. I was a student of the recession at that time, and one of the local Allstate agents was actually during that period was looking to ramp up their efforts in their team. So I joined his team as a producer. Did that for about 3 years, and then matriculated over to the commercial insurance side, where I pretty much worked on professional liability and cyber insurance, which tend to go hand in hand, and then just kind of stuck 10 plus years now.
Oh, that's good. And how long has you started your company?
So Davis Insurance Services actually was started back in 2016. I was a commercial insurance underwriter, so I was only able to transact personal lines at the time. And so we actually transitioned here to Texas last June. Dallas, Texas here has a really rich startup culture, really rich business culture, and we look forward to be our headquarters perhaps in the next 12 months. But in the meantime, we've been slowly but surely divesting in the personal lines and transitioning our book more to being commercial focused. And so right now we are a full services commercial liability insurance brokerage, focusing on all things commercial liability or business insurance.
Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna give you some key points, and our screen is not cooperating. Wait. To make sure the screen then share. Okay, so we're sharing. Okay, there you go. We're good. So this is the screen, and sorry about the technical because this is live. All right, so go ahead. Your
Sure.
team.
Yeah, so our team is comprised. There's two of us right now as managing partners. I'm Damian Davis, managing partner and principal of Davis Insurance Services. So I handle all of our brokerage services, our reseller, strategic partnerships, as well as our managing general agent program for our national cyber insurance program. And then my partner, David Wright, who handles brokerage services for the Southeast as well. He's located in Atlanta, Georgia. Our business model is primarily based on leveraging our 10 years of cyber insurance experience in the cyber insurance space so that we can negotiate the best terms for our clients and connect them with the top rated carriers. In addition to leveraging our key trusted strategic partnerships to provide them with optimal cybersecurity, both pre-breach and post-breach services. So this is what we were talking about as far as the different commercial liability insurance products. We at Davis Insurance Services, we have the commercial insurance products that we provide, as well as the added value services through our strategic partnerships. Today, we're going to be focusing on cyber insurance, but as you can see, we have technology errors and omissions, professional liability, executive liability, which is D&O, transaction liability for those deals involving mergers and acquisitions or any kind of venture capital, media liability, general liability, commercial property insurance, workers' comp, employer's liability, and surety bonds.
Let's talk. Let's dig into it, especially after COVID situation. There's so many technology, everything changed. It's a clean slate, disrupt the way of doing business. Now we have so many technologies from the mobile apps to the software. So what is cyber insurance?
Sure. So cyber insurance is an insurance product that is designed to help businesses of various sizes and industry classes hedge against the potentially devastating effects of cyber crimes stemming from malware, ransomware, distributed denial of service attacks, which are commonly called DDoS attacks, and other methods that are used to compromise networks and computer systems to gain access, illegal access to sensitive data.
Does it also cover the offshore people from using? There's so many offshore companies.
Sure, absolutely. That's a great question. So most insurance policies are designed to cover the subsidiaries of an organization, and they do provide worldwide coverage. So that's if in the event that say a domestic company here in the United States is leveraging a co-location center in the Philippines, the insurance policy will cover all of the locations where the data is held.
But in the process of application, they need to disclose their business model, right? So you could do the mapping and blueprint how data are being transferred.
Absolutely, and we uncover all of that in the application process. With the application, we usually ask for the names or all of the organizations. It's usually contemplated in the revenue as well that are associated with the organization that the company is underwriting to.
Do you suggest to have like cyber insurance? Is it before the business starts or during or after 3 years?
Yeah, so we work with companies from startup phase all the way up to 500 million or more in revenues. So we always advocate for including cyber insurance as part of if you're a startup as part of your budgeting model for your startup costs. Just because from what we're seeing now with the data. The fact is that the chances of a small business, a startup having to close their doors, being hacked and having to close their doors as a result of a data breach, a ransomware attack, malware attack, DDoS attack, or anything that affects their business, is the chances of that forcing them to have to close their business is higher than that of for example, them being affected by a slip and fall or wind or hail damage to their property.
Yeah, even the Internal Revenue Service got hacked. I don't know if you're aware that it was so many years ago. So there's nothing safe. That's why you always have to protect before you start making money. You need to make sure that you have the right protection. So let's discuss what are the 10 reasons to buy cyber insurance. Let's go with 1, 2.
Sure. Yeah. So there are 10 key reasons that we've identified as why a company should buy cyber insurance. I would say the top 3 are balance sheet protection, risk transfer, and then just overall management of the business. When we talk about some of the key controls, and we'll get into that in a second, but just the top 3 in terms of securing the business, the systems, the data, the networks, and their digital assets, you're thinking about multi-factor authentication, which is more commonly known as MFA, endpoint detection and response, more commonly known as EDR, and then some sort of backup solution. But those are ways to secure the business. The cyber insurance policy really is designed to protect the balance sheet because it ensures the financial loss resulting from a cyber incident. So the top 10 that we've identified, the top 10 reasons to purchase a cyber insurance policy are going to be balance sheet protection, risk transfer,
Yes.
management of the overall organization, and the financial health of it.
Yeah.
Any kind of contractual requirements. Some organizations that you might be doing business with may require that you have the insurance via contract. Depending on the industry class that you're in, regulations, perhaps local, state, or even federal may require that you have the insurance. Keep going.
That's good. Okay. And
yeah, you want to demonstrate that you as an organization can own the experience of the cyber attack. It's a good substitute for further security spend. It's a competitive advantage, provides a competitive advantage over some of your competitors who may not necessarily purchase the insurance. It does help aid in the development of business continuity, because when you develop a business continuity plan for a business, the cyber insurance policy is built into that, how it would respond to a breach, and then added value vendor proposition as well.
And also, this insurance is when you're getting government contract or state contract, they're very they're scrutinizing every type of how you protect the business and financials and records. So that's one experience I got when we're getting contracts. They want even banks, they want to have that they are protected also if they put business to your company. So, so now we go. What does cyber insurance cover?
Sure. Yeah. So there are two main foci of a cyber insurance policy. There's third-party liability and first-party liability.
Yeah.
Third-party liability is exactly what it is. Or exactly what it says is that it's a claim that's brought against the entity by a third party. First-party liability are those first-party expenses, or those expenses that the entity or the organization that's insured by the insurance company directly have as a result of the breach. So, for example, from a first-party perspective, an entity that's insured under a cyber insurance policy, they have the obligation to notify customers about the breach and those individuals that were affected by the breach. They may have the responsibility of restoring personal identities, providing any kind of credit monitoring services or identity restoration services. They have the responsibility of recovering compromised data. So if in the event, let's say, for example, it's been determined through investigation that the data hasn't been exfiltrated, they just have to determine where the data is and how they can recover it. If it has been exfiltrated, then that recovery may involve some sort of ransom negotiation, or perhaps uncovering encryption keys, and then repairing the damaged computers within the cyber insurance policy. So to be clear, cyber insurance policies traditionally have been known to cover only the non-physical damage or the non-physical compromise of digital assets. But now we have a coverage called bricking that does cover the repair and replacement of damaged physical hardware.
Even the computer, because the physical computer, I think right now everybody's doing the cloud, right, more than the hard drive, but you still cover the hard drive. And then right now, because how safe do you think is the data in the cloud versus the local drive?
So that really depends. So the methodologies that hackers use have really morphed. Nowadays, what we're seeing, they're becoming much more sophisticated. We found that actually hackers are they're going directly to the backups a lot of times, and if they're not what's called immutable or read only, they're just copying them, deleting them. And then at that point, if the organization doesn't have that information backed up on a secondary backup methodology, then at that point, it's pretty much they have to get the check out.
I'm just curious if do you suggest that the computer should be shut down when not using? Is sleep mode would be okay, or it doesn't matter?
What I always suggest is that, say, for example, the real risk is, say, if you're using like a public network and you're using a VPN. Now what we're seeing is hackers are compromising the VPNs. If in the event that you see something like that, definitely take the computer offline, and that's probably your safest bet. As far as shutting down the overall the hardware or the network, that really just depends on kind of how the incident response plan is developed and how the organization is designed to respond to a breach.
Related to the cyber, have you heard the news last week when there's so many stuck in the airport? So many planes.
The CrowdStrike incident.
The CrowdStrike. Yeah, but that's how, like a cyber. One push of a button and will stop the economy.
And that's actually a good point. That's one of the perils that a cyber insurance policy is designed to cover is a business interruption event and
Yeah.
business income loss as a result of that. So,
Do you have a certain minimum days when you say it's business interrupted? Is it hours or days?
it's usually based on a waiting period that can range anywhere from I've seen 6 hours up to 24, perhaps even 48 hours. It's just that it just a component of the insurance policy that's set by the underwriters.
Well, that's a lot of claims that happen to the airport.
Yeah.
But now we're gonna go. What are the checklists for the cyber insurance?
Yeah. So if you want to go through the whole thing. Yeah. So the cyber insurance checklist, we've developed kind of some key components that an organization can implement to kind of upgrade and have an optimal cyber hygiene that can prepare them for cyber insurance. These are some methodologies that can be used and can be implemented into your cyber hygiene or your pre-breach posture, cyber posture, that can help reduce the cost of cyber insurance. So that's automating password management, educating your employees on privacy liability and cyber peril. So whether that be phishing exercises or annual privacy or cybersecurity training, just implementing something that helps all of your not only key stakeholders but employees. If you have volunteers, contractors, etc. Of the unique risk that cyber proposes to your business, protecting your privileged accounts. So whether that's through privileged access management, any kind of identity access management, and then limiting privileged access to your IT systems. That's if in the event that say you have a devoted IT department, only limiting a privileged account status to those individuals who are responsible for managing workstations and desktops.
There's always the admin user and there's other that guest user, right? That's we also do that in QuickBooks. We're always the guest user.
Correct.
For that. So,
and then the key one is to ensure security checks with multi-factor authentication. MFA is definitely key. It has been proven to be really effective in slowing down, if not stopping, bad actors from hacking.
So for the multi-factor, we use OTP. Is that part of it? The one-time passcode through my number, personal number, and then OTP through the password.
Yep.
So those are just part of the multi-factor. And then we have the tips to improve your cyber insurance readiness.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and if we want to run through those too. Yeah. So first is doing your due diligence. That involves any kind of employee background checks, vendor checks. As far as making sure that you have doing vendor assessments and making sure that they're doing their due diligence as well. Patching is a key, definitely a key sticking point.
What is patching?
So as an underwriter, this was kind of a pain point for me. So patching is actually exactly what it says. You're patching or you're addressing any sort of vulnerability that's found in a computer system or a piece of software. And so companies like Microsoft, for example, they have what's called Patch Tuesday, where they're releasing patches every Tuesday for any kind of software vulnerabilities that they've uncovered. Because unpatched systems, legacy systems that have gone unpatched, that's where we see those are kind of the main endpoints that we see are compromised in the event that a hacker enters the system.
So they have Patch Tuesday, where it's like us, we have Tax Saving Tuesday.
There you go.
And then the multi-factor authentication.
Yeah, multi-factor authentication across the entire enterprise. Again, as an underwriter, I saw this where a company may indicate on the application that they have multi-factor authentication across the entire organization, and they may only have it on a small percentage of assets. And so you want to make sure that the entire organization is covered by multi-factor authentication, MFA, as of course the budget allows. Defense is definitely the key. That involves training your InfoSec team or your IT team on how to respond to bad actors that have infiltrated the system, as well as, again, part of that is phishing exercises and just helping your employees and your staff to understand how to be more vigilant in the event that a bad actor is making a play for trying to infiltrate your system. And then finally, have an incident response plan in place. Oftentimes we see that companies, various entities, both public and private, are trying to develop an IRP or an incident response plan, and what we call ground zero, which is in the event
sounds like a
breach.
movie.
Yeah,
ground zero.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we want to make sure that you have that incident response plan developed ahead of time. You're doing what's called tabletop exercises for all of the key stakeholders who are involved, making sure that the entire organization is flowing appropriately. Everybody's talking, and that they know exactly what their roles are and what to do in the event of a network compromise.
The part of defense in is also having a good antivirus.
Yeah,
so
correct. Yeah, having a commercial grade antivirus and strong firewalls is key. But we don't want to just rely on that as well. I think as an industry, we kind of, when we saw the uptick in ransomware in 2021, that was a big part of it. Was that we had gotten comfortable with just commercial grade antivirus software and firewalls. But we also want to make sure that we're implementing and staying ahead of the curve. As far as, like I said, multi-factor authentication, some point of endpoint detection and response that really should be managed. You need to have somebody that's specifically devoted to managing the alerts that come through, and then at least having some type of backup solution.
Yeah.
And then there's also zero trust authentication that as the cyber threat landscape continues to evolve, we'll see more of that roll out and become more cost effective for organizations of various sizes.
And speaking of, these are the benefits of cyber insurance.
Sure. Yeah. So benefits of cyber insurance are going to be crisis management and having access to crisis management and IT experts, breach related legal advice, forensic investigation costs covered by the insurance policy under that the first party insurance agreements that we talked about, any kind of setting up for call center services for those affected individuals to be able to call into and
report fraud or
report fraud or the need for any kind of credit monitoring services that the company with the insurance policy may be offering. Communication costs following the damage to the reputation, right? So that's a big part of it too, is the reputational harm that comes from a data breach. The legal or PR services as well that are associated with the reputation harm. Again, going back to that technical forensic piece. So the forensic investigation costs may not necessarily include computer forensics. It may also include the forensic accounting, but then the technical forensic piece, which is the actual forensic investigation of the computer system to determine what happened, if the bad actors are still there, and how the company needs to move forward in remediating any damage that was done to software, hardware, compromised data, etc. Incident notifications. This is actually a big expense for a lot of companies. Compromised records can actually vary in cost depending on where the affected individual resides. Different states have different regulatory fines and costs that are associated. That are associated with affected individuals' records. And depending on the record as well, right? So the cost for a personal health record is completely different from, say, an affected individual who, just had their name, email address, or, credit card information,
social security,
social security number, things like that. And then the credit and identity monitoring, which is what we mentioned before, as far as setting up the call center services to be able to receive the calls, to be able to offer those services. That would be offered through, say, an Experian or Equifax.
All right, we reached to the end of our presentation. If you have further questions, guys, the information of Damon, it's on the screen, and also we're gonna put the link where you could book them. It's davisinsuranceservices.com. All right, so one question: what is most common denial for getting a cyber insurance? What is the most common denial to your client?
Yeah, so what we see where denial of claims most occur is when there are inconsistencies in the application. Really, I know as an underwriter, a big one was, say, for example, if you have an organization that's just completed an acquisition and they stated the overall revenues, for the overall organization, but then within that application, they also indicated that, say, multi-factor authentication was implemented across the entire enterprise, and then a claim happens or occurs, and the entity that was just acquired was the compromised endpoint, and then as a result, but they weren't multi-factor authentication. They didn't have multi-factor authentication implemented. And so as a result, that's a grounds for denying the claims.
Also, the historical claims. So, for example, 3 years, is there any minimum requirement? For example, they claim cyber liability insurance, let's say 2020. is there like a time frame they have to wait in able to apply for cyber insurance?
No, there's no time frame to wait. Just claims, and depending on how severe the claim is in terms of what was paid and what happened, and what controls were in place at that time, and kind of post breach response remediation is definitely something that companies look for in terms of considering new accounts that may have claims on them. So those are the things. There's definitely no time frame requirement. There's just certain key sort of due diligence. Key due diligence components, I would say, that people need to consider when they, if they've had a claim and they're looking for new insurance or a new carrier.
Since these are online, do you also serve different states, and what are those states that you could cater?
Correct. So right now we are in multiple states. We're in Texas, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, and soon to be California, and Florida will be coming soon.
All right, there you go. Guys, if you have further questions, thank you so much, Damien, for this information, because we always have to refresh what are the things that we need to do on our business. Whether you're a startup or scale up business, insurance is really mandatory. That's what I learned to any claims. Well, me, I got the car accident, but I didn't pay that all the liability. The same thing now online. It's cyber. It's basically like a human body. There's a virus, there's a injury. Those are the things that we currently are facing, and now we're facing in the world of technology. We have the metaverse. All of this involve technology, and those technology it needs protection. All right. Again, any last words? How would they get hold of you?
Sure, yeah. So you can reach us via our website, contact page at www.davisinsure, INSURE, services.com. You can also reach out to us on LinkedIn. Damian Davis, and then we also have the Davis Insurance Services LinkedIn page.
And because it's also providing a free consultation initially, right?
Correct.
Okay. There you go, guys. If you missed this live presentation, we have this on YouTube. Again, it's Chris Wycoco in YouTube. Chris Wycoco. We're gonna put the YouTube, and also on my LinkedIn, it's Chris Wycoco. Just find me there. And if you have further questions, feel free to reach us to our contact information that is running right now. And again, this Tax Savings Tuesday is brought to you by Wyco Tax, and Damien Davis is our guest speaker for today. You will hear more about his services. Eventually, we have a strategic partnership, because here in Wyco Tax, just like you, your tax needs a break. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.